Yo, what's up? I'm going to show you some mistakes that I literally see every single one of you beginning agency owners make. The first one is unrealistic expectations. A lot of people come to me saying, Carson, I need to make $10,000 right now. Never come to me thinking that that's going to happen. That will never happen, okay? Now, obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. Obviously, I've seen people do that. I've seen people make $50,000 in 2 weeks. But you are not the exception. On average, that will not happen to you, okay? Think about how long it takes to make $10,000 a month with a college degree. It takes about 4 to 5 years of a college degree and tens of thousands of dollars in student debt just to maybe make $10,000 a month. Maybe, right? Usually you'll maybe make $8,000 a month, which is about $100,000 a year, right? That's 5 years. And for some reason, you're sold the idea that you can do that in 1 month, right? Now, again, I've seen it happen. I think it's possible, but it probably won't happen to you, right? So for some reason, you're sold this vision that it's gonna happen to you this month and it's gonna be super easy and everything's gonna be done for you. That is never the case. It is a lot of work and it takes more than 1 month to get it done, okay? It's gonna be about 4 years to make $1 million. Now that's still amazing. 4 years to make $1 million. Would you take that bet? If I said you just do this for 4 years to make $1 million, you probably would say yes, right? Now, my first year was 2021. I made $50,000, which is about $3,000 to $4,000 a month on average, right? I had some months that were good, some months that were bad, some months where we were at zero, some months I was at 10K, right? And so there's a lot of ups and downs, but still, on average, I only made about $3,000 a month. So that was the whole first year of me trying everything I could for a whole year, doing, going all in on this thing. The second year, I made $150,000. Okay, that is where it started paying off. I was actually making a little over 10K a month consistently. Third year, I made $550,000. And this year, on track to make about $750,000, hopefully making $1 million this year, right? So 4 years to make $750,000 a year, that's pretty worth it, right? Or maybe $1 million a year. I had another guy, a friend of mine, Keaton Walker. We have a video that you might have already watched. And I was talking to him. It took him 4 years to build an agency to $80,000 a month and then sell it. Right? And he said that was just my college, right? Which is, if you go to college, that's 4 to 5 years, as I said, and you maybe make $8,000 a month, or you can try this for 4 years. So don't think so short term. Don't think that this is going to be, don't have unrealistic expectations that this is going to work month one. My first month, I did book a few calls, only a few calls my first month of actually doing outreach in my agency. My second month, I got my first client, but it was a terrible client and he wanted a refund, right? My third month, I actually started getting more consistent clients, and then it went downhill, uphill, downhill, right? Again, the whole first year was a train wreck. Most people you talk to, they will tell you the first year will be hell, right? I had a couple kids I talked to, Cole and Nick, it's a video on my channel, and they had ups and downs doing things that I was trying, try this, try that. And they finally caught something and started getting it to work after like 9 months, right? After 9 months, then they were starting making 10, 20, now $40,000 a month, I think $50,000 to $60,000 a month after a year, right? But the first 9 months, it was almost nothing. It is an uphill battle. It's going to take some time. There are easier ways of making money quicker. Trust me, trust me. When I wasn't making money with my agency, guess what I was doing? I was doing DoorDash. In the snow. I was getting caught in the snow all the time. But I was making like $200 a day just doing DoorDash, doing it for 10 hours a day. If you actually want to work hard, there's easy ways of making money quick. But obviously, it's not going to be a lot of money. It's not going to be long term. But if you just need money today, DoorDash is available for you, by the way. Uber is available for you. There's plenty of other options of people willing to hire you today. You can go knock on doors. I'm my brother knocking on doors and just handing out flyers and saying, hey, I'll mow your lawn, $50 a lawn, right? That can work for you if you're just trying to make money today. And also, that can be built out into a real business long term. But if you're trying to do an agency, I would not expect it to work within the first month, okay? Usually I have an offer, or I guarantee my clients we're going to get you appointments and leads within the first 2 weeks. And I know that because I've tested so many offers myself. I know what works. I know what outreach works. And I can guarantee appointments in the door. But usually people suck at closing, and so they have to fix their closing problems. Or they just don't know, they don't have the fulfillment ready, right? So they have to figure out the fulfillment. And so usually we'll be able to get appointments within the first 2 weeks, but then obviously you'll have to fulfill some things. You have to think about some things, or change your offers to be able to actually start closing deals. That's different from setting appointments. And the second thing is you're not testing enough. The first thing that you will learn about marketing, your entire life will just be testing. That is everything you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, is just testing different things. That's all marketing is. I think Facebook did a study where they looked at all the ad accounts. They looked at the ad accounts that were the highest performing. The ad accounts that are the highest performing, they test 40 times more than the average ad account. The average ad account maybe tests 2 or 3 things at a time. So they're testing 80 to 120 things at a time, which is insane. I actually there's an app called Speechify. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a pretty big app. They have ads going out everywhere all the time about Speechify. And I talked to the owner of the app, and I watched one of his speeches. And he was saying that he's constantly always testing at least like 100 ads at any given time. 100 ads at any given time. He is constantly testing. So the people I've seen that are extremely successful, they know their numbers, one, and they are always testing new things, always testing new offers, new ways of approaching things. And the things that he was saying he was testing is just like changing the colors, changing the way that he says the call to action, changing the text of the call to action at the bottom, right? Changing the button that is in the ad, right? All these things that what you think are minor, he's testing all of them. Now, I'm not just talking about testing things in the marketing that you're actually doing. I'm talking about testing things within the market you're actually going to, or the offer that you're actually pitching, right? So when I started in the pest control niche. Now, everyone will tell you the worst advice I've ever heard is you want to stick to one niche and stick to it for the rest of your life, or at least stick to it for 6 months. That is terrible advice, because I stuck to pest control for about 3 months, and I realized really quickly that pest control companies don't have any money, they're really broke, they don't want to pay you anything, and they're really annoying to work with. So why would I stay in that niche? If I listened to the advice, stick to it for 6 months, I would still be broke today, okay? And so I adjusted and I tested, and someone just mentioned, hey, why don't you try roofing and solar? And I thought, that's niche hopping, I shouldn't do that. But then I was like, let me just try, right? For a couple of days, let me just try. I tried. Within that first week, I got 2 clients testing roofing and solar. And then I tested, I was doing email and LinkedIn, like everybody was telling me to do LinkedIn and email, right? Just doing the same things everyone else was doing. And then I was like, well, this isn't working well. I'm only getting 2 to 3 booked calls a week. What if I tried SMS? So I tried SMS, send out 100 text messages. I got 10 sales calls in one day, just testing something, okay? And so I would not be here today, again, if I didn't test and try new things. Now, I also recommend you copy other people. My business today is just copying other people, copying things that I already know were working, but not copying blindly, not copying, like if everyone's saying the same thing, it's probably not working, okay, anymore. And so I was just copying the email, the SMS. I stuck to a niche because someone told me to stick to a niche, and that did not help me at all. So always be testing different things. The third thing is going into saturated niches. This is a huge problem. I have so many people that are beginners. They're coming to me, Carson, I'm ready to get started. I'm ready to target roofing companies. I'm ready to target solar companies, or I'm ready to target med spas or e-commerce, right? Now, you might not know which niches are saturated, which ones aren't. That's why you just come to me and say, hey, Carson, what about this niche? And I'll tell you, hey, that sucks. That's a bad idea. And so I just see everyone, they think, again, they're copying somebody else. Somebody else is doing solar and they're successful. Let me try that. But then they don't realize is that person that's saying, hey, do solar, do roofing, they have plenty of clients in roofing and solar, and it's working for them, but they already have an established brand. And now all the little kids that are also trying to start an agency, they're also doing roofing and solar or med spas. And so at one point, everyone was targeting med spas. Like almost every other call I was getting on was saying, hey, I am a short form content agency, or they were saying, hey, I want to target med spas. And I was like, okay, that is a terrible idea, because I've heard about 30 people this week say that they're targeting med spas. And now med spas, they're getting hit up. 12-year-old kids are just picking up the phone, and they keep picking up the phone, and the 12-year-old kid's saying, hey, do you want to buy marketing services? And they just have to keep hanging up. And so why would they say yes to you when you have 100 other people already reaching out to them every single week? And so what you want to think about is try to find a starving crowd. This is a market where no one's reaching out to them, or a market where they're deprived, right? I could have the worst hot dogs, the worst hamburgers, and I could sell out of them easily if the crowd was starving, right? Now, if I go to a market where there is a buffet of options, there's hundreds of vendors trying to sell the best type of food, the best offers, it's gonna be really hard for me to compete there. Okay, so I have to have the best offer, the best food for the cheapest price. And so I have to think about that. That's what your marketing agency is. If I'm going to a market in e-commerce where they get thousands of messages a month, I'm not even kidding, thousands of messages a month, people pitching, hey, we'll do Facebook ads for you, right? How are you gonna stand out in that crowd? Why don't you go to a niche where no one's targeting, right? And that also applies to even countries, right? If I go to the United States, it's very saturated. If I go to Switzerland, no one's targeting Switzerland, or Mexico, or Argentina, right? Now, obviously, some countries, they don't have as much money. I had a guy, though, that was reaching out to Malaysia, which, again, they don't make much money in Malaysia, but he's reaching out to Malaysia, reaching out with a message in English, which most of the population doesn't speak English, reaching out on WhatsApp, which not a lot of people use WhatsApp, and he was getting so many clients just from doing WhatsApp outreach in Malaysia in English, right? And it was also the worst message I've ever seen. It's the worst outreach message I've ever seen. And it was working so well for them because I have never heard anyone else reach out to Malaysia. Now, you can be a generalist. A lot of people say, oh, I want to help all businesses, but we can do that, and we can test a whole bunch of different niches, as I just said, but you always want to sound like you're speaking to them. So if I'm reaching out to pest control companies, I say, hey, I'll help you get more bedbug heat treatments. If I'm reaching out to solar companies, hey, I'll get you more solar installs, right? And so we want to speak their language, seem like I'm reaching out directly to them, whereas I have a company directed towards them. but we can test different things and always also just try to go after niches that also have money. You don't, again, I was in pest control, nobody else is in pest control, but then I realized why no one's in pest control is because they don't have any money. And so you want to go after niches that have money, and usually that there's over 10,000 of them, at least in the United States or in the world, and no one else is targeting them. That's usually what you want to go for. Now, as a part of my program, I actually pick an unsaturated niche for you. I set up the systems for you. I create the scripts for you. So you're getting consistent booked calls in the door within 2 weeks guaranteed. So if you're interested in that, you can book a call below. The next thing is unimpressive offers. I have people coming to me all the time saying, again, I want to do Facebook ads for roofing companies. And Carson, have you ever heard of Upex and Go High Level? I can put that together and I can sell Facebook ads to roofing companies. I've heard that, again, 1,000 times. And so if you have an unimpressive offer that is the same thing that everybody else is doing, then no one's going to say yes to you, right? Again, I'm a roofing company. I get 100 messages a week. You come to me saying, I'll help you do Facebook ads. I've already received that same message from 100 other 16-year-olds that think they want to start an agency. Why would I ever say yes to you? Now, the way to fix this is by having a better offer. How do we have a better offer? Well, we shorten the time frame. We make the offer sound better with larger numbers. And also, we remove risk as much as possible. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, plain and simple, selling ads is really hard. Selling Facebook ads, Google ads, it's really hard to do that just because every single company, they've received several messages. They've already bought from another agency and they tried Facebook ads in the past or Google ads in the past, and it didn't really work for them. And so if you're going in saying, hey, I'll also sell Facebook ads to you, it's going to be hard for you to even crack in the door because, again, they've already tried it before and it didn't work. So why would they try it again? So what we want to try to do is also use a different mechanism. A mechanism can be how you're approaching. You're getting the same end result, more roofing jobs, more solar jobs, more pest control jobs, whatever. But we're using a different vehicle to get there. So instead of Facebook ads to get more jobs, we're going to use Yelp ads. We're going to use Google reviews. We're going to use database reactivation, right? We're going to use partnerships. There's a whole bunch of different ways, obviously, to get the end result. And so if I reach out with a different mechanism that they haven't used before, they might be way more likely to respond. So if I say, hey, I have a system to get you more pest control jobs by handing out flyers, would you be open to that? Or I have a system that's going to bring you a ton more HVAC jobs just by some partnerships I have, would you be open to that, right? Partnerships sounds a lot easier than doing Facebook ads. We also want to remove risk. All that means is making it sound cheaper, making it sound easier to say yes to. Now, think of this. If I told you right now, I will help you for completely free, I will help you get clients in the door, I also help you will fulfill for you, and all you have to do is stand there and look pretty, and I'll do everything for you, and you just have to pay me a commission. Would you be open to that? I'm sure you would say yes, right? Everybody wants to act like a baby and sit there and do nothing. They want to ask me a million questions. They don't do any work themselves. They want me to do everything for them. They want me to close the calls for them. They want me to get the appointments for them. They want me to help fulfill for them. And then they just sit there and they make money. And I just want to make money and I want to hire other people to do everything for me. And then it could be passive for me. That's never really how it works. But I'm guessing if I gave you that offer, you would say yes, right? So what makes that offer sound good? One, I'm doing everything for you. Two, you don't have to pay me unless it actually works, which is what we can kind of offer to somebody else. Now, we can do all the work for them. Plus, we can offer, if it doesn't work, you don't pay. Now, most of the time, I don't recommend that. I don't recommend you not getting money up front. But in certain scenarios, it can actually work a lot better, and it can easily help you get your first client. I can guarantee you that you can get a client within 3 days if we did as many outreach messages as we could, right? Did as many cold calls as we could. Let's say 200 cold calls a day, and we just said, hey, first name, I just wanted to see if I could help you out and work for you on commission. You don't have to pay me. I'm just going to send leads your way, get you clients in the door. You only pay me on commission. Would you be open to that? Somebody will say yes within the first day. I think usually you can get someone to say yes easily because there is no risk to them. Everyone would say yes, right? So I have some ideas right now where I have systems that work really well for smaller businesses that have an email list, have a text message list. And so if I said, hey, I'll get you more nail salon appointments. I'll get you more nails coming in. You just have to pay me $10 per appointment. You don't pay me anything up front, just $10 per appointment. They make about $40, $50 per appointment. Just pay me $10. I think anybody would say yes to that. And so all I do is I get their list. I send out some text messages, get them a whole bunch of nail appointments. And I can make $500,000 a day just from doing that. And so that's really easy to say yes to because we're really just partnering up. It's really no risk to you. You only pay me if you get paid, right? Which sounds a lot better. So I would definitely try that where we try to remove risk as much as we can, which is basically making it sound like it's cheaper. Another thing that you're not doing is you're not sending enough messages. You're actually just not doing enough, right? The thing I see a lot of times, people come to me and say, hey, Carson, I'm not getting appointments. Can you help me out? I say, okay, how many messages are you sending? Oh, we sent 20 LinkedIn requests a day. All right, well, how many messages is that, right? That's maybe 7 messages total, right? I've sent 7 messages total over the last week. You're not going to get anywhere with 7 messages. You have to try to get in front of 200 people per day. And if you get in front of 200 people and you say, oh, I only booked 2 appointments after getting in front of 200 people, that's great. That's a 1% conversion to a call is actually really good. And so if I can reach 200 people, usually people are doing 200 messages in a week or a month, right? And so if you only get 2 meetings a month, that's wise because you're only reaching out to 200 people, right? And so if you're doing 200 a day, if we get 2 appointments a day, I'm sure you'd be a lot more satisfied. And from there, it's just about increasing the numbers. One, we want to make sure that people are actually receiving the message, that they're actually getting it into their inbox. It's not going to spam or anything. The second thing is we want to make sure the offer is really good, that we have a really good unique offer, which is what we would do where we remove risk and make it a different mechanism. And then the third thing is we just want to send more, right? If we send more, we'll get, so I've had clients that got 30 sales calls per day. And the reason why they were getting 30 sales calls per day is because they were sending 5,000 texts per day. And so the difference between them and you is that they were just doing more. It's as simple as that, okay? So easily, the way to do this is just send more. And I remember when I started out, I sent a few, maybe like 10, 15 Instagram messages, and I just felt weird. I was like, oh, this is weird. I don't want people to see me. It feels weird to send out these messages. And what if they respond? And what if they're not actually interested? What do I even say? I sent 15 messages. I thought maybe something will happen from this. And I never really sent messages again. And no one got back to me, right? And so I was like, why didn't this work? Well, at the time, I thought, well, I only need to do small numbers. But in reality, I need to do a lot every single day, 200 messages a day. And I would have gotten a lot further. But I didn't do that. So I think most people, they have unrealistic expectations on the actual effort that they need to put in versus how much is going to come out of it. If you're only going to send 15 messages a day or 20 LinkedIn connection requests a day, you're not going to get anything from that. The next thing is closing. This is one of the biggest problems. I have so many people coming to me, and again, I'm guaranteeing people that I'll get you appointments coming in the door, but then they have a hard time closing those appointments. It's not my fault that you can't close appointments. Now, if you really think that you suck at sales, the best thing you probably could do is get a closer. A closer is completely free for you. You just have to pay them a percentage of whatever they close. And so you pay them, let's say 20%. They take on your calls, they close the deals, and then you just give them a percentage once you're done, right? Now, or you learn sales yourself. I would recommend you learning sales. Now, for me, it took me thousands of calls to actually get good. I remember watching a call recently, and the call, it was maybe like, I was a couple hundred calls in, maybe 900, or maybe even 1,000 calls in, and I sucked so bad. I thought that call was terrible. And yet, I was maybe 1,000 calls in, right? And so now maybe 2,000, 3,000 calls in, and I'm obviously always getting better, but I still don't feel like I'm really that great at closing. But obviously, I've closed over $1 million. And so I have done this so many times, and so either you just have to put in the work, study closing, and actually just try to study as much as you can, plus actually do as many calls as you can, or just hire a closer that does it as a full-time job, right? And again, it's very easy, very cheap. There are a dime a dozen. They're everywhere. You can easily find one. You go to a Facebook group and say, hey, a Facebook group of closers, just say, hey, I'm looking for a high-ticket closer. Can anybody help me out? You'll get hundreds of people applying to you. And so I would definitely either hire someone or just figure out closing, because it's what I see as the biggest issue for most people is that I can get you appointments. I can get you appointments easy. But then if you can't, I had a guy, I got him 80 appointments his first month. He had 60 out of those 80 appointments, he said were qualified. He closed 1 out of the 60 that were qualified. And so if your close rate is 1 out of 60, you got to be fixing something, okay? That kind of leads into my next point, which is build for the long term. I remember when I started, I heard someone say, you have to do 1,000 sales calls before you actually start making real money. And I was like, that's going to take forever. I'm never going to be able to do 1,000 sales calls. How will I ever do that? It's going to take years. Now I'm 3,000 sales calls in, right? Just doing it myself. And so after doing thousands of sales calls, I realized it really didn't take that long. It took about, again, 4 years to make $1 million, which I think now, looking back, it was definitely worth it. But at the time, starting out, I was like, well, this is going to take forever. It's not going to be worth it. I want to make $1 million this year. You know, again, that's just COVID till now. All right. Think about how far ago COVID was, it was actually 2021, which is a little less than COVID, right? So COVID till now, if you just spent that entire time building an agency like I did, you would have made $1 million, right? Let's just say that. And is that really that hard? Is that really that far long ago? Right? It's not really that far long ago. And so if you just start today, again, it might take a couple of years, but it will definitely be worth it. So I understand people think that the niche hopping thing is a part of that. Oh, I don't want to niche hop because I need to build for the long term, or I can't keep niche hopping because that means I'm just starting something new. The grass is greener on the other side, whatever. I don't see it as that, because these are just skills that you're learning over time. I think just jumping into new things is sometimes a good idea, and just testing new things is a good idea. But you're learning these skills over time. And so I know that I could just jump into a different niche and I can probably make $20,000, $30,000 within maybe 3 months, jumping into a niche that's completely brand new, but still in the agency space, just because, again, I know about all these different things now. But again, think about what is 4 years compared to the rest of your life. And again, when I was talking to Keaton Walker, he built a business, an agency. It took him about 4 years to build it to $80,000 a month and then sell it. And again, he just said it, oh, that was just my college. And so if it takes only 4 years and you can have $1 million per year from there, would it be worth it? Of course it would. Again, don't look at this as some sort of short-term play. The more I think long-term of, I want to be the biggest and the best B2B lead generation specialist. I want to be the best at marketing. I want to be the biggest name in marketing. I want to be like the next Dan Kennedy. I want to be the next Jay Abraham. I'm aiming towards that goal. And so then I'm thinking long-term like them. Okay, how did they grow that brand? How did they position themselves? And so they wrote books and they had webinars and they had seminars, all this stuff, right? And so how would I do those things? And so if I start applying those things today, if I started writing a book, if I started building out my own brand by making a YouTube channel, again, this YouTube channel I've had for about 2 years. Within the first year, I was making like $50,000 a month from the YouTube channel, right? And that only really took a year to do. But I was thinking long term. I was thinking maybe 10, 20 years in advance, right? But it only really took a year to get to a place where I was like, man, this is actually really worth it, right? Actually building the personal brand, actually doing what they did is actually really worth it. So again, think more long-term. Now, if you're actually thinking long-term and you actually want to do this for the long haul, then I am starting a new program where basically what I'm doing is I'm having calls with you every single day and showing you exactly what to do to get to 30K per month consistently. So if you're interested in that, you can book a call with me below. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.